Alright everyone, Al-Shabaab is not a nice group of individuals, sort of like the East African version of Boko Haram. Some similarities there involved with piracy and other problems, especially within Somalia. But the U.S. has now conducted several airstrikes on Al-Shabaab, killing a number of militants there under the expanded authority of our military to conduct strikes in some of these places. Now, Somalia is not exactly the most stable state in the world. That is, the functioning government there is pretty tenuous at any given time. It's not entirely clear who really even runs things. Tribal warlords, pirate groups, Al-Shabaab, some sort of government authority we're kind of propping up. And Somalia, many years ago, was semi-stable. By African standards was okay. It's kind of like the tale of Libya or something like that. You know, you have a nation, it's beginning to develop, it's getting investment, and then all of a sudden everything falls apart. I'll say this, I'm not in favor of randomly conducting strikes on Al-Shabaab. It seems to me like it's a bad idea. We've been doing this sort of thing. The problem that I have with simple targeted strikes on militants, ISIS is one thing. It's operating in states we've already had an involvement in, that we recently have destabilized. Maybe we can put the genie back into the bottle. We'll see what happens. And regardless, of course, we need certainly the help of not only our allies in Europe, but also the Russians, which is something a lot of people in government have a stick up their ass about. It's like, oh, you can't help us. You can't help us accomplish the same fucking objective we want to accomplish because you're Russia or something like that. My problem is this. We keep getting involved in these nations time and time again. And anytime it has anything to do with being an Islamic nation, it never actually works because our strategies, they don't really pan out. Every time we conduct a strike, some more people, often from foreign shores, will just come back in because there's more demand for, a couple dozen more pirates or some more militants to chop people's genitals up or something like that. It never seems to do anything. We've been at this for decades now. We haven't really accomplished anything in the majority of the states that we're actually involved in. It's sort of like a political war style of Vietnam or something. We get involved in Vietnam. Things are chaotic, things are fucked up. They stay chaotic and fucked up for many years. We then end up withdrawing and simply putting economic pressure on the situation and everything works out fine. I would think that the way to deal with like Al-Shabaab would be to try to develop Somalia so that it has the rudiments of, advancement there. Maybe a couple of roads or a factory or something. And then when people realize, oh, the West isn't just going to keep bombing the sand dunes for no reason on a daily basis, maybe things improve a little bit. Now, nation building doesn't work, but the nation building of like the post-Bush era is basically bomb all the infrastructure out, make everybody deep third world, you get epidemics, you get other problems, and then we go in and start building a few hospitals and schools and ask people to suck us off in great appreciation for the wonderful humanitarian gesture. Well, rather than do that, why don't we get involved in attempting to safeguard at least a few urban centers, get some actual economy going, because Somalia doesn't really have much in the way of a functioning economy. And you'd think it'd be a nation that would be set up to succeed, considering how much shoreline it has. It's not like it's just a chunk of desert. There's a little bit more to Somalia than that. But right now, anything that's not overrun by Al-Shabaab or being used as a base by some pirates is essentially tribal warlord mode. So why are we even involving ourselves within the region? What benefit does it give us in any way? What benefit does it give the Somalians, by the way, to get involved? It doesn't give them any benefit. The benefit to them is non-existent. You get rid of Al-Shabaab, you're just going to end up with some drug lord or something moving into the area. What's the fucking point? Oh, hey, we kicked the terrorists out. Now you can deal with the cartels. Wonderful. It's just going to be a great time for you. Okay, I made an extra $1 this year because that drug lord was generous. It's basically the way business has worked in Somalia for some time. You'd be better off dealing with the pirates, honestly. The people there, they're probably like, oh, please, please, international, pirates, please protect us from Shabaab and from these drug lords because they want to chop our hands off or work us to death out, growing some sort of a drug cocktail for him or something like that. We'd much rather be pirates, fly the Jolly Roger all day or something like that, to the point where that's like better stability probably than the government can offer them. At least they're going off. They sail somewhere else to commit acts of violence and they come back, maybe just get rum drunk or something. I don't know if they still drink rum or if they drink something else. Maybe they're drinking vodka. CNN's going to certainly claim that because every ill in the world is somehow Russia's fault. So they get a lot of crates of imported vodka, I guess. Poor Somalians. Yeah, people wonder why there's refugees from Somalia. Surprise! Part of it is the West's fault. That is the truth. It's like if we hadn't let idiot Bush get involved in Iraq, we never would have had ISIS in Iraq and Syria. It was Bush in Iraq, Obama in Syria, and basically the post-Eisenhower Middle East strategy that we concocted in our minds is somehow a good idea. Oh, let's go fund this nation. We'll buy their oil, and they'll export madrasas, and we'll just ignore that fact. And then when terrorist groups spring up all around as sort of auxiliary forces for that same nation, we'll do nothing. We'll pretend it's not a problem. And then we'll oust a bunch of countries' governments, and nothing will happen. It'll be fine. They'll want to be liberated by us and become democracies, you know, with 1/10 of the economy that they had before. It'll be a wonderful time. So I generally oppose getting involved in these sort of struggles. If you want to prop up some governing force, one that's, you know, not tin horn dictatorship mode or something like that, yeah, okay, that's fine. But actually conducting warfare, it's not going to help. Killing 5 or 6 Shabaab members isn't going to degrade their capabilities. I believe it was Kenya. They got involved a while ago. I think it was like 3 or 4 years ago. They mobilized their forces and they actually kicked the ass of some of these militants and other sort of tribal groups in the region. They got involved and it actually worked. Their military is pretty good compared to the militaries of most of their neighbors. By the way, Kenya is like a shining example of stability in the East African region. Tanzania maybe. Only their forces, they still literally, I'm not even really a joke, most of the people in the country there are still like tribalistic and Maasai warriors. They're not going to last long against Shabaab unless Shabaab wanders off into the underbrush and falls asleep in a swamp somewhere. And then the Maasai warriors can, I guess, use like poison darts or something. That'd be actually really funny. Because then they'd march in and probably chop their heads off. Yeah, I'd be rooting for the Maasai in that situation. Otherwise, no. Us getting involved won't help. The local governments getting involved can help. The Kenyan government certainly has done that before. Maybe South Sudan. Get some Houthi rebels in there. They're Shia at least. Get them in there to kick their asses. Get them in there to conduct piracy. You know, it should be like the old style pirates. Just tell them, okay, you can be pirates, but don't fund the Saudis in your piracy. Don't chop off people's hands regularly, and fly the Jolly Roger so we at least know who the pirates are, because it'll be funny. It'll make it a better world. That's about all. Peace out.